Welcome. Hello. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Should be an interesting one because I hope you guys are in the mood for some WTF, bro. Because I've got some stuff to share with you guys today. It's going to be an interesting day. Yeah, overall. Just saying. Gonna go nice and softly spoken, but not really. All right, let's say hi to the chat, shall we? Hail to Vince Womack, the mod with the most. That's right. He's the best. He's the best mod because he's my mod. Oh, yeah. Anyway, I hope you're all doing well. If you missed the Monday Night Meltdown shit yesterday, then go check it out. Yeah, really interesting shit going on in the world all over the place. If you haven't had a chance yet, make sure you catch the war on big tech, or supposedly, from yesterday, and etc., etc. Ha, Vince, he says the only mod. I have other mods, but they don't show up, so you're the best. Just saying, it's a scheduling issue. Because I do streams at times that nobody's watching, really. Not hard to be the best that way. Whatever. Just take the fucking compliment, bro. Gosh. I mean, why can people not take compliments these days? I don't understand. I mean, seriously. The first bit of what the fuck that we're talking about today. Vince is aware of this one already, but you people at home, if you're not a member of the Talks a Lot Town Square, you should probably join it because you could find out what I'm talking about beforehand. But the first dose of what the fuck is another crazy thing coming out of a restaurant. We've all heard about like the deep fried rats at Kentucky Fried Chicken. We've heard of fingers being found in various foodstuffs and like nastiness all over the place, right? But so the dirtiest thing, Vince says, no 80s movies stream. I'm going to set that up so we can have a good panel discussion on 80s movies. I'm going to figure that out for more of a panel stream so I can have my boys up in here and we can all be talking about it. Hail to Lester San Jose, the Skeptic Tank. What the fuck? But, foodstuffs, rat droppings in cereal and this, that, and the other thing. But we all know money is like the dirtiest thing in the world. It really is. It's like nasty, okay? Because laundering it is apparently illegal. So instead of cleaning it, a family discovers pennies inside local McDonald's chicken nuggets. Pennies. He says, oh, not just in China, eh? No, not just in China. We find all kinds of nasty shit here all the time. And I'm not going to play the video, but let's just talk about this. Ohio. Fuck you, Ohio. Ohio, man. Just terrible. Yeah. Exactly. 80s movie stream requires at least one Nick Weiser, if not all 32 flavors thereof. Just saying. A family's game night turned scary when they found pennies inside of a couple of local McDonald's chicken McNuggets. Pennies. My wife was eating a pizza one time and she felt this really down on her teeth, right? Painful. She's like, what the hell? She spits it out. Turns out it was from the dough roller machine. Tiny little piece of metal, almost busted her fucking teeth. It was crazy, but we got $100 worth of pizza for free because of it, so I'm not going to complain. And yes, $100 worth of pizza is understandable when you're going to a place like Bojo's here in Colorado, and you get mountain pies. They sell these pizzas by the pound, not by the inch. And it is so good. As long as you go to the one in Idaho Springs. The one in Evergreen is shit. And any lower elevation mountain pies are just garbage because they need the high elevation. And yes, Vince, ouch. I exploded one of my teeth on a piece of pizza one time. Only time I ever went to this local place, and literally blew up one of my teeth because the crust was so hard. It was terrible. But anyway, Wintersville police were dispatched to the Wintersville McDonald's at approximately 8 p.m. and took a statement from a customer about finding change or pennies inside their chicken nugget. They found 3 pennies inside their food. Wow. Management was made aware of it. We made a case on it. We're continuing to look into it. Management is also looking into it as well. I would hope so. I would hope that pennies inside of McNuggets is a concern for people, because not only is that like break your teeth hard, but they're fucking pennies. They're like nasty, disgusting. Everybody touches that. Heavy, what the fuck? Vince says, I literally broke a tooth once, but I can't remember what I ate. That happens. That happens. It does. Beth Rupert Warren says it was her family that found the money. Looked at it, looked like it was fine, but then when they broke it open, they could see this brown object inside it. And it looked like a penny, and it was. Oh my gosh. She says she returned the meat to McDonald's, where management was notified. There is no reflection on our local McDonald's. This appears to be manufacturing. So let that sink in for a second. These pennies came from wherever it is McDonald presses the mystery meat into the shape of a chicken nugget. I mean, some homeboy on the production line had like loose pockets or something and dropped it into the vat of chicken nugget nastiness. Or some nasty, it's like some shit like that. Because it's probably not actual meat. I mean, let's be real. Since when do fast food restaurants use actual meat these days? Do we remember the pink goo debacle from McDonald's? I bet we do. Oh, man. And then, of course, no one from the company gave a statement because they're not allowed to. She says, my biggest fear was that someone was going to hand their child the chicken nugget in the backseat of their car, in the car chair seat, and they would choke on something like this. That makes sense to me. I mean, jeez. Hail to Small Time Republic. How you doing, buddy? He says, hail, a day or two ago, they found a rat chewing on some bread in a local Whataburger I frequent. Great. What the fuck, dude? I know rats are, like, never an expected problem, but every business I've worked in has had rat traps regardless. Even warehouse work and, places you wouldn't really expect them to be, just to keep that kind of shit under control, regardless of whether they've seen them or not, because it's just a smart safety move for your food. Goodness. Vince Womack says, makes you wonder what else they put in there. I'm curious as to what the actual breakdown of a chicken nugget is. Okay? 1, is it actually meat? 2, is it made like sliced ham? I wish I would have saved that video because, man, they have this big old mound of pink nastiness that they scoop out with a spatula and scrape into these bread pans, and then they bake the pan of goo until it looks like a ham, right? And then they yank them out, and then they throw them through a slicer and sell it to you as sliced ham, when it's really just congealed fat that they've sliced into a billion pieces and given to you. And the easiest way, ladies and gentlemen, to tell the difference between real ham and not real ham, this pink goo shit, real ham has fat marbling. Okay. When you buy sliced ham and it has nothing, it just looks like a straight sheet of meat. That's the processed pink goo stuff. Okay. And you really don't want to go for that. Because trust me, I watched how it was made and no, thank you. See, Small Time Republic says I'm eating sliced ham right now. I hope it has the fat marbling, and I hope it came from something along the lines of a meat container that, just saying. Yeah. He said, as he said on Gilded, I've seen too many nasty kitchen in documentaries that I don't go out and eat anymore. Well, there you go. He says it has a little fat. That means it's real ham. Okay. Because they don't bother faking the fat lines inside of this sliced ham that I'm talking about. It's that stuff that you would get at like a bodega or like the really cheap section of Walmart, etc., etc. Nasty. But as to what Vince said, I agree. I go out to a restaurant once every like 2 months at this point. And typically it's because I am so busy I have no choice but to swing into like Sonic and get a hot dog. Like it's a bit much. But like you can't trust the food from fast food anymore. We saw that with Taco Bell getting sued for not using actual beef. We saw that with McDonald's getting in a lot of trouble for using the pink goo shit on what they called beef. And it all seems to be centered around beef. But in this case, like, hail to Boosh McFadden, the chef man himself. We're talking about some terrible fucking foodstuffs, bro. All spurred on by the fact that these people found pennies in their chicken McNuggets, and it appears to have come from the manufacturing plant. Okay. Whoa. Hail to Mass Grave. He says, a Tuesday stream? What a treat. Unlike most fast food. You are correct, sir. And he says, do not eat fast food. You get a lot more nutritional value if you're cooking at home. You get a lot more control over quality and how it tastes and stuff. So it's he says the McD's pink goo is ground chicken. That's what it looks like. Yeah, dude. I will never, ever eat at McDonald's ever, ever again. It's been like 3 years since I've eaten there, but it is never happening again, especially since stuff like this keeps coming up. You're supposed to tip your waiters. You're not supposed to catch a penny tip out of a fucking chicken McNugget. Money is, as I said before, money is the dirtiest thing you could ever find. And to find it wrapped inside of a chicken nugget tells you that it fell into a big old vat of goo that they then pressed to look like a chicken nugget. Vince Romack says, I only do it for family evenings, and last time was last year. Well, I mean, sometimes it's easier to just gather everybody at a fast food restaurant and do it. But I would much rather sit down at a sit-down restaurant. But, Small Time Republic says, I once ate shrimp from Popeyes. Never again. My local Popeyes actually has some pretty good quality. It's the staff that I'm questioning most of the time. Boosh McFadden says, Cory, the quality of fast food product has gone down recently. Yes, it has. They have been cutting costs like crazy since 2020, and I'll say it, the scamdemic. Gotta make money somehow, right, bitches? Hail to Tiny Metal Trees. It's wonderful to see you. Vince Womack says 23 plus years for me and my last visit to a McDonald's. Wow. That's impressive. I applaud you, sir. Yeah. If you guys are really hard up on change, I guess you could go find some chicken nuggets in a trash somewhere and hope they have money in them. I mean, I won't, but go for it. Boosh says, trying to maintain their diversity quotas, the result of poor quality machinery, less cleanliness, and subpar staffing. This is a continuation, yes, of his last comment. Yeah, shitty machinery, terrible cleanliness. I'll just say that right now. As a janitor, I am disgusted when I walk into a fast food restaurant these days, especially if it's the restroom. Not that you should ever use the bathroom in a restaurant like that, but sometimes, just saying. And the subpar staffing, that's what happens when you have retards running society. You know what I mean? Mass Grave says, I bet they fry those nuggets in molds in factories. I can guarantee it. I guarantee that's how they do that shit. Ugh. Vince Womack says the family events are in normal restaurants and beer gardens. That's a great place to go. The beer gardens, if they're actually a decent beer garden, will have in-house chefs and stuff to actually make the food. But I've been to some beer gardens that like yank it out the freezer, throw it in the fucking microwave, and then give it to you. And so just be wary wherever you're eating. Boosh McFadden says Popeyes around here are filthy. Well, I'm lucky on the one that I go to here in town simply because nobody's ever there, so it doesn't get dirty. I'm sure it's only a matter of months before they close it down, but for now, it's a great, like, it's fairly clean all the time. Every time I've been in there, I haven't really noticed anything other than like your normal restaurant shit. And then Massgrave says, hell yeah, gotta love all these local breweries popping up everywhere. Here in Colorado, they're on every other street corner, bro. Like every other street corner. It's crazy. Vince says the one we go to has on-site grilling. Yeah, that's the best, bro. On-site grilling is just watching it and smelling it and making me hungry, guys. Talking about food because we forgot about the fact that we're actually talking about the what the fuck are pennies doing inside of chicken McNuggets. Come on, McDonald's. As Polly would say, do better. Gosh. Boosh McFadden, they had good workers who were minorities and chased them all off. Garbage staff who don't care and won't get fired. The pressure put on good workers makes them quit. So they're left with trashy people. This goes for every restaurant. That goes for every business in modern day, in my opinion. There are very few businesses that have quality staff and quality products. And I couldn't even honestly name one right now in my local town that has that level of old school service, good quality stuff, good quality people. It's fallen by the wayside. And I think that is an absolute fucking travesty myself, because as a person who spent most of his life in customer service, most of his life in service industries, I've always maintained that proper conduct, if you will, regarding customers, with exception to the theater where it was my job to remove customers. So, I was an usher, but they called me when they needed people kicked out or an entire theater cleared, because apparently when I yell, it's really scary. Boosh McFadden says, yeah, Cory, it is as bad as I've ever seen. Any chain company is cock-a-doodle. Indeed, local businesses are okay. And then with the local businesses, you run into the problem of, like, the staffing is the biggest issue I've seen with small local businesses, and that's because all of these people are drawn in by the corporate, like, oh, we'll pay you $17 an hour to start out as a bag boy. And then when they actually find out it's only 15 because they don't have 15 years of experience as a bag boy, it's pretty crazy. But local chains, they have trouble because they can't meet the price ranges. And most of them these days are forced to be at minimum wage. And the problem with minimum wage is it's not a survivable income. people should be earning a survivable income through merit and their own fucking sweat and grit, but welcome to lazy time. Anyway, Small Time Republic says the feds try to make it hard on local businesses as they are not too big to fail. Indeed. He says they're not beholden to the government, so they gotta go. That's right. They didn't sign any of those crazy ass contracts that get people like totally boned in the behind, you know? Lower inflation would help. Didn't you hear that Biden's doing an Inflation Reduction Act, bro? I mean, come on. You're right, though. It would help quite a bit. Why the fuck? I'm just going to come out and say I hate the fact that Microsoft gets to do stuff to my computer without my permission. Next up on What the Fuck, I have an interesting sign for you. Yeah. So, this is on the back of an actual bus. You can see the little watermark for the person who posted it right there. This is virtual Virginia. But it says, don't stop for pedestrians if they jaywalk. Let them learn a lesson. And she's got this tire mark all over her face, right? Like, who thought is this an advertisement for a funeral home and they forgot to put their name on it? Like, seriously. What the fuck? There was a guy back in, I think it was the 90s, who was in an ad similar to this one, but it was more along the lines of like, stay safe and don't get hit by a car instead of fuck it, let him die. And he had the tire mark on his face and the posters and stuff like that and whatnot, but he just died. I wish I would have saved that story by getting hit by a car. Like, you want to talk about some like tragic irony, maybe? That's like, whoa. And then we got these people. Don't stop for pedestrians if they jaywalk. Just commit a felony. It's fine. Attempted vehicular homicide's not that big of a deal. Jaywalkers, no. Protesters, go right ahead. Amen, Vince. Amen, Vince. Yes, yes, yes. See, and like, this is the point we're reaching in society. That they're literally just saying it's fine if you run people over. Like, I don't want to go to Virginia because apparently Virginia isn't for lovers anymore. It's for people who want to be crippled or want to run over other people. What? Survival of the fittest. Yes. If you can dodge a car, you can dodge a ball. That's the only knowledge you really need in this life to make it through. So, pedestrians, if you're jaywalking, I'm sorry, according to this bus, I have to run you over. Preferably in the face. Apparently. Let them learn a lesson. Oh, yeah, I'll never jaywalk again. My lung came out last time. Vince Womack says it wasn't a big deal for a cop who ran over a local lawyer on a crosswalk. Well, I mean, it's a lawyer, so is that a really big deal? Tiny Metal Tree says, I'm a pedestrian and we are second-class citizens. That's, yeah, dude, out here in Colorado, no different. All right. If you're on the road as a walker or a bicyclist, you are making the single most dangerous and stupid decision of your entire life. You might as well juggle loaded fucking Uzis that have the triggers taped down. I mean, let's be honest. In Colorado, crossing the street is a life or death game. I have a friend who's been hit by cars 3 separate times, and none of them were actually his fault. I know that sounds strange. 3 times, then it had to have been him jumping out in front of cars, right? No. He's walking to work. He goes across an intersection, and then somebody runs a light and fucking nails him. That's how it works each time he's been hit by a fucking car. And I'm like, it's a 2,000-pound fucking missile. And you're just going to run it straight into a motherfucker? You can't tell me you don't see him. He's like 6'1". He's gigantic. Maybe you're jealous because you have a tiny little penis and you got to run over people in the streets, but I don't know. Hail to Tolbat. He says, hello there. Tolbat also says, pedestrians have the right of way in North Carolina. We have no jaywalking laws, except pedestrians are not allowed on highways unless they break down. This is actually very similar to what it is here in Colorado. Pedestrians have all of the right of way. And any car that does stupid shit is in trouble. You're not allowed to be on the highways unless you've broken down, et cetera, et cetera. Even then, you'll get in trouble if you walk too far down the highway, because it becomes a safety issue. But we have a lot of frontage roads and stuff, so I guess it's a little different. Yeah. See, he says that said, look both ways. Well, I mean, use your eyes and your ears before you use your feet. Stop, look, and listen before you cross the street. Yeah. I mean, come on. Looks great on paper. Well, yeah, of course it does. But yeah, like we're at the point where people are just like, hey, fucking run over pedestrians. It's fine. Like, what? I mean, holy shit, yo. All right. The next bit of what the fuck is actually very funny. The law in many states is literally called pedestrian on the roadway. Yep. I mean, it's pretty straightforward name of the law. I personally wish that the bicyclists would fuck off straight to hell because they're a fucking nuisance, and I hate cyclists, you fucking insects. Anyway, there's my rage moment of the day. I apologize. I know that was intense. But anyway, so the next bit of what the fuck. Yeah, 44 seconds of what? So while we're doing this, we'll continue, talking about bad drivers. Oh, here comes number 2. Tolman says, on the beach road and on the Outer Banks of North Carolina, they stop pedestrians there. They will about hang you if you hit someone there. Sweet. That's awesome. Boosh says, Cory wants to cycle his chambers at cyclists. Sometimes I was going through a roundabout, and that's the most struggle bus fucking thing for any American I've noticed, is how to use a fucking roundabout. It's a fucking traffic circle. You go around in a circle going the correct direction and nothing bad happens. But no, cyclists here in Colorado decide that they get to go and like just do whatever, let's watch that again. And so I'm going in around this traffic circle on my way to work, and this cyclist guy's got to be at least 60, 70 years old. Like, you should probably just fuck off to the nursing home. But he literally jumps out in front of my fucking 3,000-pound fucking SUV. It's probably not that heavy, but I'm just saying. And he just, and I almost nail his ass, right? And I mean, straight up like, boom, gay porn pounding this dude. I lose my shit because I have to swerve out the way, and I fucking hit the median trying to avoid this cocksucker. And you know what happens? Fucks my car up, and motherfucker has the balls to fucking flip me off. And you know what? At that day, at that time, he was lucky I was not packing, because I would have fucked his world up. We'll just give it one more time on this 44 seconds of car crashes. Look at this. You'd think they'd learn, right? Rally car racing. Slow down a little bit. Oh my gosh. Yeah, soft shoulders. Oh, good thing they have roll cages. Man, this is just insane, by the way. And here comes the next lucky contestant. Boop. Yeah. Some repair costs for those people. Tolbat says, I meant packing fudge. Sure. Vince Womack says, bad instructions from the navigator. Too fast in the corner. This is the result. Yep. Just thinking. Just saying. They probably could have done better. Why is this not playing? What is this? Why are you not working? Un momento, por favor. What the hell? Hey, over on the Rumble side, since I'm still a neglectful little boob, he says, "Hey Cory, this is Vanessa Chuba. Oh, okay. Your content is fantastic. Minor detail that could be improved. Would love to help fix it. Let's chat about it. Cheers. No, thank you, Vanessa. I don't need that. Thanks. All right. Yeah, see? It's porn link. No. Regardless of whether it's porn link or someone trying to get me spend money on them, the answer is always and unequivocally no. Hi, I see stuff you could improve on. No. I appreciate the offer if you're sincere. If you're not, then okay. But either way, it's not happening. I don't mean any offense, but I don't make money on this. So I'm not going to spend money for people to like give me a break. Also, subscribe to me on Rumble. Talks a lot of entertainment. Yeah. The next bit of what the fuck that we're looking at is a fight. And I know YouTube, violence is bad, but we'll just have to say. Hold on. Maybe she was just gonna say another hat video, man. Maybe, but that was never released on Rumble. So just saying. Okay, anyway, so here's the most brutal fight you'll ever see in your entire life. Okay, viewer discretion is advised. Ready? Shut the hell up. Yeah, see, he's already busting out the killer moves. Killer moves. Oh, here we go. Here we go. It's about to get. Oh, 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 here it comes. Here it comes. Ready? Oh, 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 man. Oh, man. It's about to get good. Ready? Ready? Boop. Oh, he grabbed his ass. Oh, that was the most intense fight I've ever seen in my entire life. Just saying. Sean Estep says, "Sorry, Cory. Had to clip that pounding bit. Hey, go for it, bro. Clip whatever you want. Doesn't matter to me." Anyway, yeah, I thought you'd get a kick out of that one, Lester. And hail to Sean Estep, by the way. Hail, hail, hail. Let's just watch this again. Check out this guy's amazing form. Okay. Like Homeboy in the Blacks, just like, I'm ready. Let's do this. I am ready for you to enter your attack. Huh? I'm waiting. Come on. This is, oh, oh, oh. If I had to guess, I'd say this is probably somewhere in, I don't know, probably Thailand, something like that. Maybe somewhere they speak Tagalog. But I mean, dude, look at this guy's moves. Like, there's like the most powerful impact ever. Let's watch that part on replay. Oh, I didn't go back far enough. Here it is. Here it is. Honk. Yeah. Oh, man. Oh, man. Honk. Oh, dude. Okay, first of all, yeah, or Brazil. It's very possible Brazil. I was like, have you ever thought about diffusing a public brawl in this manner? I mean, this is a new de-escalation tactic number 1 from now on is the ass grab. Like, wait for it. Wait for it. Oh, big old booty grab from the homie. Like, what the fuck, dude? Do you see two guys pretending to fight, more or less on the side of the road, and your first idea is to just run up and grab the dude's butt. Like, I know how to break up this fight. Watch this. Ha, ha, and then run off. Yeah. What? Oh, I mean, and this dude, like you can kind of see his face where he's laughing his ass off at that point. Like, and dude's all like, "What the hell did you just do, bro?" Bush McFadden says it was the buttock touch of death. The opponent immediately felt faint. Indeed. Uh, Booty grab didn't phase culture one bit. It wouldn't. It wouldn't. Yeah. Grab ass. That's the fighting move. That's the literal technical term for that fighting move is the grab ass. I mean, come on. What is that nonsense? So I've never grabbed somebody's ass in a fight. I'm just saying. The buttock touch of death. I mean, now the next bit, we've all committed the party foul of spilling our drink, right? But when you boil it down, it's not usually that big of a deal. The following is a bit of a big deal. Again, no idea where this is, but apparently a local winery had some containment issues, and this is all red wine running down the streets of this town. Part of me thinks this is fake because the homeboy in the bushes over there is not going down there and sticking his head in the river of red wine that is running down the streets of this town. This is, if I remember correctly, from 3 large storage containers of red wine in this town's local winery. And just think about how much money these people just lost and how many years that wine may have been sitting there because they had a containment failure issue on 3 giant ass tanks. Like, or Vince says Jesus was at it again. You're right. It could have just rained and Jesus was like, nah, boom, never seen that before. Tobat says, red, red wine, you make me feel so fine. All of the time, red, red wine, run, run to me. Yep. Well, that person should be in the streets of this town right now. At least when this video was taken. Like, I don't think I've ever seen that much wine to begin with, but if it's flowing directly from a winery that had a containment failure, then it kind of makes sense. But that is so much wine. Like, this is thousands of gallons of wine. And French people everywhere wept, right? French and Italians, they like red wine, right? I don't know. I feel just this river would probably give you a headache, though. Just saying. Red wine, headaches. It happens. Jeez, that is just so much. Like, holy shit. How do you think that place smells? Do you think it's like oaky? Or maybe it's got some like almond hints to it? I bet it's a full body. And it's getting the opportunity to breathe a little bit. Tolbat says, nice drainage system, right? Best drainage system in the world. And again, I have never seen that much wine flowing anywhere. But to be a river running down the street, like, holy shit. Wow. And now for our next What the Fuck segment, we're actually going to pop on over to the Gilded. Oh my. All right. Well, we're not going to do what I had planned next because Sean Estep. When did this come out? In 2022. Okay, so this is an older one, not recent. What the fuck? Look, it looked more than just a containment problem. Yeah. I would say there was huge problems in that. But apparently in 2022, a man went in because of stomach pain and they found 187 coins in his gut. What the fuck? Man from Lingsugur swallowed dozens of coins, various denominations, being brought to the hospital by his family. Why the fuck would you? Hail to Lester San Jose. How you doing, bro?
Doing all right, man. Just thought I'd catch up with you guys. Being on the road. I wasn't on the road, but took trips to Tennessee and Idaho.
Hell yeah. How'd the medical training go, bro?
Oh, especially when you put in the context that the organization puts it. So this is like when an active. So the worst case scenario, bad guy,
Right.
right? So it's easy to go to any institution and learn certain paramedic type skills, but not often in the context of a bad guy, or the bad guy may not end up being a person. It may end up being a natural disaster or something like an accident. And so one of the biggest lessons is do what you need to do with your tools. So whether it's the case if you got to take a bad guy, handle them first. And this is something that I started to tell my coworkers. One phrase, if you want to live by, aimed, deadly accurate aim is medical care.
Well, I mean, you're not wrong. Honestly, you're not wrong. Was this a federal training program?
No, this is just
Okay.
something the late founder passed away, unfortunately, due to ALS last year.
Okay.
But he was a cop in various capacities. He was SWAT. He was also in undercover narcotics.
Nice.
So
Hell yeah.
he, even when he was still doing active stuff for the precincts he worked for, he was teaching people how to use firearms, and he's combined that experience when you're dealing with the day to day,
Yeah.
how to deal with people. And so in those contexts, you learn how to apply the skills correctly. So whether we're
Mm-hmm.
talking if it's a bad guy, if you can see the bad guy, take the bad guy first. Make sure you take care of the bad guy. Otherwise, you're gonna have more people to care.
Yep. I
Um, yeah, go
I
ahead.
went through some federal training a few years back for active shooter situations and how to deal with stuff like that. And I always loved going through those training programs. So I hope it was fun, bro.
Oh, it was.
Like,
I mean, try to apply a tourniquet blindfolded.
oh, right. Yeah. Did they have at least the good tourniquets that had the actual metal bar to twist down and
Well, the
strap
thing
on,
is
or were
with
you
those,
improvising?
I'm learning that I know people have their opinions about rats tourniquets. Rats tourniquets is very basic looking. It's a different material than the one that you're describing as the windlass
Right.
tourniquets.
Mm-hmm.
But what gives the rats the advantage is if you're in a bad spot and your adrenaline is pumping, it doesn't take much to feed the loop,
Right. You feed the loop, you tighten it down.
and then you wind it,
Yep.
and there isn't much to it. It's a lot of, especially when I talk about my martial arts paradigm,
Mm-hmm.
it's more gross motor, especially when your adrenaline is increased. And when it's a bad environment, you're not going to always be in clear sunny skies. You're not a dry land,
Right.
and being able to do that using your gross motor instead of having to work through that little loop where in the windlass ones you got to
Yeah, you have to be able to hook it in to get it to stay
exactly
put. And
exactly and that's what a lot
high
of what
stress
I do.
situations doesn't
Yeah,
always work out.
especially when you want to handle a firearm under stress, the skill that it actually requires. A lot of people say, "Oh, anybody can pull the trigger." Yeah, anybody can pull the trigger, but like I mentioned in my last video, I had a part one. I'm not sure if I'm going to do a part two today, but I'm sure I'm going to do a part two to it. But I critique basically it's not everyone can pull the trigger. Not can everyone can pull the trigger under stress. Not everyone can pull the trigger under stress safely. That's the other thing. Accuracy
Indeed.
is safety. Of
Yes.
course, if it sounds like you go to a range, or at least you know the 4 rules of safety when it comes to that stuff. It's like, and I had this stuff on the way back when you heard about the New Mexico governor doing what she was trying to do,
Mhm.
and especially the narrative that's applied to that. It's an epidemic. I'm so tempted to put my stuff on screen and do a mock medical examination.
See, and the thing that gets me with all these states right now is it's not an epidemic of violence, it's an epidemic of stupidity. And it's stupid people not knowing what they're doing and just deciding that, oh, well, I'm going to get a gun, or I'm not going to go through any training, or, oh, no, a bad thing happened. So what should I do? Like, I saw a lady trying to apply a tourniquet to a neck one time. I mean, yeah,
That's an you
it's
don't do that.
so stupid.
You
It's
don't
like,
do that.
no, but that goes to show you that, like, there's a certain level of intellect that is lacking in a lot of people these days.
The one thing the thing is, people don't want that discourse, even when it comes to terms. Something like, I don't know if you follow sports or the Olympics, but the thing that got me is Simone Biles and the use of the term. This isn't a means of slamming Biles, but it's a means of bringing up the conversation. What do you mean by mental health? Because that when people throw terms around loosely, that's where I get a little
Yeah.
like when that you talk about the epidemic or whatever of gun violence, like they think the root of that is gun, but it's like I wanted to do a lampoon video of doing a medical examination for viruses and guns.
Right. I think that'd be great.
I would take apart my gun and go, no virus, no germs here. It doesn't look like. I'm not sure how the transmission actually works. It requires some a helping agent.
Right.
I might do something. It takes a man to. It takes this move. So they don't want to fight for the term, or at least that's another thing I did with my video. I had a couple of it. One of the other videos I did was on this idea of first among equals. Like if they ever held a Star Wars Ecumenical Council, the interesting thing will be not so much the process about what is canon, but who gets to be the voice that cannot be ignored within the greater community. Now, I don't know, because since the man sold the property, does he still have that privilege and right? Or will the people have to vote on him to be that? You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Yeah.
But anyway,
Hail
Alina,
to low spec Linux laptop.
hey.
Check out low spec for sure.
Well, you were mentioning something about Windows updates, and I go, Homeboy should be rolling with Linux. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know how tight you
I
are with low spec Linux laptop, but he will likely recommend you a very
I
comfortable distro. Not saying that,
well,
yeah, go
I
ahead.
what I want to do actually, and I'm regretting not having them pre-install Linux system on my Aurora, but
Oh,
I want to have this operating system swapped out, and I want to learn. I can never remember the name of the basic Linux program that is like really easy for people like me, soft brain Microsoft users, to understand.
oh,
I don't remember what it's called. All
it's
of a sudden,
usually going to be Ubuntu. I don't know. Maybe a low
Ubuntu,
spec,
yes,
yeah,
the
low spec
Ubuntu.
Linux
Yeah.
laptop might still recommend. I think based on the video I saw of him years ago when he did his misconceptions video, and that's how I start tagging him because he's inspired me to do a lot of stuff, and that's why I
Nice.
have a lot of Linux content. I didn't think it would go that route, but hey, somebody else requested it, so I started
Hell
bringing
yeah.
stuff. But
Um,
but going back to the whole Windows updates thing, I feel you, because even for my job, I have to work with Windows begrudgingly.
yeah. The only operating system I refuse to work with in any way is Apple.
Yeah, the Apple to a point is like a compromise, because the thing is with Apple, they're so big of a company that if you don't cater to their user base, like Microsoft has been doing lately, uh, I have a usable environment to use Microsoft Office, but knock on wood, my Linux environment, I can get away with either LibreOffice or only Office, and it does what I need. Like I may be an English major and I did write papers, but it's like beyond the basic features of Word, I don't need anything more advanced than what is already being offered.
Right.
Yes, Ubuntu. The other thing too, you don't have to worry about licensing. Uh, You
Right.
you don't have to worry about licensing. You don't have to worry about. I mean, yeah, for some products you do,
Well,
but
yeah, but that's just kind of how it is these days. I
well, no,
mean, I would
developers have
love
yeah.
yeah, the reason I would love to have a Linux setup is because it would free me from all of the forced Microsoft bullshit
Yeah.
that comes along with having Windows. Like, I don't want what do they call it? Edge now. I
Oh
don't
yeah, yeah,
want that, but it still reinstalls itself on my computer every time I fucking get rid of it.
yeah,
And
yeah.
it's super obnoxious. And then they put in other like I have to reset my little start bar at the bottom there all
No,
the time because it keeps putting the search and the weather thing widgets back on my thing. And I'm like, that is not okay. Tolbat says Lime. I'm assuming that's another Linux build.
yeah, it might be.
Um,
Yeah, there are
Low spec
plenty of.
Linux laptop. Ubuntu. I personally like X Ubuntu and XFSC FCE cat.
Yeah, that is
Desktop
what.
environment is very much like Windows XP. I liked Windows XP. I preferred 7 more than XP, but that's just because of slight integration upgrades that they had before they went all kinds
My
of
if I,
crazy.
yeah, my druthers, if I had them,
Mhm.
Windows 2000 was had the promise. It was it could have been what XP was at the time because it didn't. Microsoft didn't try to be what it wasn't. Once with Vista, they tried to mimic Apple's graphical aesthetic, but that's never been what it's about.
Right.
When I started using Windows 2000, I thought the icon scheme looked nicer than the cruddy looking Windows 98 and whatever 95 look. But once they introduced XP, it's like, what's this kitty business? This I wasn't down with that. So I get you. Like, there was a
Understandable.
point where Microsoft was a thing among power users and gamers. And that's the only reason why I keep my Windows installation is to play certain games.
Right.
With Loki, he tipped me about GOG, which I put a thing on my channel about GOG.com. Check it out. You might find some old school games that might run on your computer,
Hell
especially
yeah.
if you don't want to subject yourself to modern narratives, if you know what I mean.
Right. Low
Um,
spec says you just need to see if software you use is compatible or alternatives are good enough. For
yeah,
instance, Adobe software is not going to work, which is fine. Um,
you can run
Adobe
it through,
the only Adobe program I use at this point is a PDF reader. I
and you
mean,
have many. You have, regardless of platform, you have many ways of reading a PDF.
yep. And he says most Windows games work great these days. That's good to know.
Did you?
Tolbat says Lime is an Alma Linux. Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
that's cool. Hail to Jason Fox. I wore your hoodie all day on all of my streams yesterday. If you guys haven't seen that hoodie, it's sick as hell. It's Bruce Lee with a lightsaber. And it has a little like Nordic word on it over here that I'm pretty sure just says, I'm gay or something like that. But whatever. I don't read that language.
I
Vince
will have to. I'll have to look that. I still have an 1.8.1 over the.
8.1, dude. Windows 8
Oh
was so bad. I'm sorry. I hope
yeah,
it works though.
yeah. I
Tollbat liked 98. That's
yeah,
wasn't a bad operating system.
yeah.
Uh,
It's terrible.
how about Windows
Oh God, no.
ME? I missed that one entirely.
Good for you.
Entirely.
Good for you. It was trying to. It was like it looks like Windows 2000, but it still had a lot of the cruddiness that was 98. Like
Yeah.
early on in my computing training and exposure was like I knew about Windows 95's bugginess, and I wanted something that was reliable, but I also wanted to play games. So yeah, 98 was my compromise. But
When I
if I had my druthers, it would have been NT4 and then Windows 2000.
so when I was in middle school, we had this computer lab and all of the computers were, of course, networked together,
Right.
and they ran off of Windows 98.
Oh, yeah.
And that was back when you networked Windows computers, you could send command prompts and stuff to
Yes.
the other computers.
Yes.
So I actually managed to set up a network wide, like, hard drive password or whatever on
Yeah.
the entire computer lab. And nobody could figure out, like, they had to get rid of, like, they had to do full wipes on everything. And it, like, sure, it made me a bit of a dick, but it was funny as hell, in my opinion, because I'm all like, why can I do this? Like, what is this?
That's
You
the
know?
way you really learn.
Like, why would you let me do this?
You know, a lot of what I learned in my medical thing is a lot of self-reflective based on what we learned in the scenarios.
Right.
Like the one scenario where I played a guy who was shot in the chest, and one dude was distracting the medic, who was the guy had a head wound. Well, in our pecking order, head wounds are like a lot of them are superficial,
Mhm.
and you got to go to the guy who might have a sucking chest wound,
Yeah,
and
for sure.
I had to mumble. I couldn't use words. I had to like draw their attention by mumbling, and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Arr,
So
arr."
one of the federal trainings that I went through,
Mhm.
um, I was moulaged up with a gunshot wound to the neck and one to the abdomen.
Oh,
And oh my gosh, the paramedics were so bad. Um, the cops came in, they cleared it, they identified where I was. Um, and they first made the mistake of declaring me as red, which means that person is dead.
mm,
And then the paramedics got in there, and I was supposed to confirm that I wasn't actually dead, slightly heavier breathing and whatnot. And they came in, they looked at me, and then they left.
oh my god.
And then 15 minutes later, cops came in and carried me out. And I'm like, okay, can I give these guys their grades because they failed?
Oh, really? They
Like,
didn't have any. They didn't have any evaluators or observers.
they did, but they didn't tell them what they did wrong until after the fact. Like, when we were doing the active shooter drill, the cops were supposed to come in and, secure the area and all that shit and
Right.
go, but what they did is me and three other dudes were standing in a corner basically talking, right? That was where we were set up. They came in, looked at us, and just kept on going.
Mm,
And I'm like, okay, if one of us is an active shooter, all three of you are dead.
mm,
Like, you need to secure your fucking people as you're coming through the door. You don't look at them and go, oh, there's people, and then move on. You look at them and go, get the fuck on the ground and don't move until I come and tell you to move.
yeah.
You can't lock down a situation if you're just going to walk by potential threats. And that was what the fuck moment with several what the fuck moments with the federal training that I went through. And it just boggled my mind that, like, me, a civilian, granted, I have some limited training in it. I was trained
Mhm.
by Colorado State Patrol. I was trained by a couple of sheriff's departments on firearm safety,
Yeah.
building entrance, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
But, like, when it came down to the federal evaluators doing local reviews, it was like, guys, you are fucked. Like, I hope you guys failed, because as a civilian, I'm telling you that was terrible. Like, I'm a knowledgeable civilian, but still, come on.
Well, the phrase that's used within tactical responses paradigm is "get off the X." So one thing that I learned in both the fight and the medical class I took, a lot of people feel compelled when they see someone injured. They feel compelled to bring the person to them, but listen to them, observe them. If they can reasonably get to you and somehow themselves help themselves get off the X, that helps
Yeah,
you more.
it does.
And
And, not, of course, not everyone would be ambulatory, but in the end, like, if you're a victim in one of those situations, you need to make an effort to make yourself less of a victim. or
Exactly.
to make sure that you don't become more of a victim.
Exactly.
And, some people are probably confused by that speech, but, that boils down to the goal of, like, say, police entering the building is not to save lives, it is to stop killing.
Yeah.
And if you're stopping the killing, even by killing someone, then your job is not to save other people, technically. That's the paramedic's job. And that's where a lot of people are really confused as well, is they don't appreciate the fact that cops are there to stop the incident
Yeah.
before it gets worse. They're not there to pick you up and drag your ass out.
Exactly.
Some cops do, but it's not within the safest practices that you could use in a situation like that. But
So one of the first lessons I did learn was the Good Samaritan situation or Good
mm,
Samaritan laws,
mhm,
where number one, you aren't allowed to accept compensation of any kind. The other thing too, which being a civilian, you don't have the you don't have a liability if you're someone who's credentialed. I mean, technically, I am credentialed in that I have first aid certification,
right.
but someone like a paramedic, and this is something that was brought up when you have someone like a paramedic or someone who's a medical professional, they likely will not have gear on them because they will have to live up to their credentials
Yep.
in
And
terms of applying care, and that's why a lot of them don't bring it.
well, and a lot of states actually restrict medical personnel and off-duty paramedics from providing aid,
Yeah,
for several liability issues and several safety concerns. But one of which being that they won't have their equipment on them, but the other one being, if you're a civilian and you're helping someone in an emergency situation, even if you're trained for that, you're in the way when the actual people show up.
right.
And so I get the whole be a good Samaritan idea, but overall it's flawed when people don't understand the execution of safely providing assistance. Like when they see a car crash, they automatically like run over and start dragging people out of the car. And it's like,
Yeah, yeah,
congratulations, you could have just paralyzed that person for life. They could have been
exactly.
fine, but you're not supposed to do that. But anyway, so we're actually in the last hour. I would love to continue this conversation,
Yes.
but I have to go to Sam's Club and get food.
All right.
So we're gonna close this out. What is this? He
Sure.
says Town of Castle Rock versus Gonzalez. I'll have to
Okay.
look that up.
Me
I
too.
will look that up. So a couple memes that Vince Lomack. Why did I call you Lomack? But he says, when the IRS finds out about the nickel you ate when you were 4.
Oh
Indeed.
man.
Man, that is whoa. And of course, still ended up on the back of the bus. Here's Rosa Parks.
Oh,
Man, goodness
at least could have put it
gracious.
on the side of the bus.
Right? Could have given her a little bit more space to work. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, this is where I'm going to call it. So thank you all for watching. Lester, what do you got going on, bro?
Me, just probably the second part of my ISIM, because pretty much what I try to do is not rely on YouTube shorts. So I try to, if I talk about something, I try to find other things I can talk about that kind of bleed along that. So I did mention my martial arts path in some ways when it came to ISIM number, or well, my immediate action medical review. That's where I meant to tie it. So my JKD path and all of that. And speaking of which, I don't know if you flagged him or if you found him, but Mike Gittleson, I think I mentioned that guy to you, either in Gilded or somewhere. Um, but I don't know if you sought him out. But if you want to do something, I can do some virtual stuff with you, right, and just show you some things if you want.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. At some point, I'd love to see that shit. That'd be great.
Yep.
Um, but anyway, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you're subscribed to Lester. Over here on YouTube, he's at the Skeptic Tank. If you punch at the Skeptic Tank into your search engine, into YouTube, it'll actually populate his channel. It's kind of crazy. I know, right? But that's how it works now. They haven't improved everything, but they've gotten a little
Yeah.
better on some things. I will see you guys Thursday evening for
Yep.
Dick's News US.
Yep.
I'm compiling a variety of things to talk about with that. It will be U.S. politics and weird, stupid shit happening therein. So make sure you catch that. And then, of course, Saturday we're back here in Cory's Corner. I think that's it. Well, there's the Thursday night throwdown, but you guys already know about that. So, anyway, stay sexy. Don't get murdered. And as always, have a wonderful time. Bye-bye now.
See you guys.